Разовьем и березу, разовьем и кудряву. Ай да да, ай да, ай да да, ай да, разовьем и кудряву.
Good talk, comrades. Today, this is more of like a message to liberals, if anybody else. Liberals and anarchists, I guess. But why, why do you constantly support imperialism? Like, I don't understand it. You lack an understanding in what it is, yet you support it. You lack an understanding in global politics and what people feel, yet you support it. Like, Hong Kong is a classic color revolution. It's like what they did during the Arab Spring, better yet, the Free Syrian Army. The US and the white helmets and ISIS, literally color revolution. Happens all the time. Why do you keep falling for it? Like, in Iraq, they said they put babies in incubators, like the babies that were in incubators, so premature kids, they just ripped them out and threw them on the floor and left them there to die, and y'all believed it and killed 1 million people afterwards. Then you invaded Afghanistan. Instead of getting the guy who did 9/11, you decide to invade the country and support that invasion, which destabilized the region and took millions of people, innocent men, women, and children that didn't need to die. It's fucking ridiculous. Like, I really don't understand it. It's such a clear class divide. Here's how you tell when to support something overseas or when not to. One thing you must understand is that the US is an imperialist nation. It needs to invade, it needs to sanction, it needs to take the resources from other countries in order for its economy to stay afloat. So when you see them doing sanctions, agitating with other places like Iran or North Korea, it's because they have something that the US doesn't, that the US wants. Or it's to get rid of competition, like with China. China is a rising power, and it's competing with the US on a capitalist market. And so what do you do when you have competition? Get rid of them, mess with their internal politics. That's what the US is doing with Hong Kong. Hard to tell if it's an actual people-supported revolution. Look at Haiti, look at Chile, look at Ecuador. Like, those people have been faced with neoliberalism and capitalism for the longest time. They privatize their water, they privatize their airways, they privatize everything that they can to make a profit. And most of the money goes to the US and other Western powers, other imperialist powers, which is a better word. And when you see that happen, people will get mad and angry because they don't have shit. So what they do is try to get what was stolen from them. And one thing you'll see is that the US doesn't support them and tries to demonize those people. There has been almost no reporting on Haiti. There has been no reporting on Chile. And there has been no reportings on Ecuador. People-led revolutions that are wanting better lives because they're sick of neoliberalism privatizing and stealing everything from them. But when it comes to Bolivia, and with the democratically elected president Evo Morales, who decreased the poverty rate from 54% to 36% and plans on doing more, who's one of the only South American president who actually went out in the field and decided to fight Amazonian forest fires, they demonized him and literally called him an elected dictator. It's ridiculous, yet people support this narrative. You see anarchists and liberals supporting this narrative that he is a dictator. Like, mind you, in the U.S., I forgot which president it was, but I think it was FDR. He was about to get elected 4 times. That's the only reason they did term limits. Would they call him a dictator? Would you call him a dictator, even though he was popular for the masses? No, so why are you going to call Evo Morales a dictator? You must understand the class nature behind this. All those right-wing protesters, like in Venezuela and Nicaragua and Bolivia, they're often funded by the U.S. or have links to the U.S. Juan Guaido was trained in a U.S. school. Like, don't fall for it. Please don't fall for it. There have been too many countries that have been ravaged by the empire that you support. All throughout the 60s and 70s, the US and other imperialist powers have ravaged South America. That's why they always come here, because they have nothing left at home, because it's all been stolen from them. Where was that? Guatemala. They had a democratically elected leader who had a couple of communists in the party. The United Fruit Company got pissed because he wouldn't allow them to make super profits and exploit their people. So they asked the US to do a coup and genocide thousands upon thousands of native peoples and take their farmland. It's ridiculous. Allende, September 11th in the 1980s, democratically elected leader Salvador Allende was a Marxist, the first communist to be elected democratically. Wanted to change things peacefully. Didn't give the trade unions guns or anything to defend themselves. A few months later, US sends in the guy and kills him. Pinochet. They send in Pinochet. In Brazil, they had a guy there who was a dictator from 1960 up until the 80s. Don't fall for the bullshit that the US and other Western powers gives you. Please don't do it. Like Syria, Iraq, Libya, Afghanistan. Fighting the Soviets, now Iran, now Venezuela, now Nicaragua, and Bolivia. And in the past, Brazil, Argentina, Chile. It's ridiculous. This is more of a rant type video. I don't even have a point. I'm just mad. Like, as a person that wants the lives of people around the world to get better and mine to get better, like, it's frustrating to see liberals, white liberals mainly, and just liberals in general supporting the U.S. empire, which is stopping people from getting what they actually need. Like, it's just fucking dumb. Anyway, that's it, comrades. That's all I had to say on it. That was my rant for today. No, that's the wrong word. Whatever. Cheers.